Welcome to a brand new episode of the Smeeple podcast, featuring decorated NRA board member and nationally syndicated radio host, Amanda Suffecool. Here's her and Calvin now.
All right, welcome to another Smeeple podcast. We have probably my favorite guest. Is it okay to be that biased? I'm looking at my creative director to see if that's allowed. But we have Amanda Suffecool, who is by far, I have known her now for probably going on a year, actually. And we randomly met through LinkedIn, and that turned into a relationship. But I won't do her justice because I don't think I've ever met someone with such a diverse background and all the things that she's involved with. So, Amanda, give us your background, who you are, and the 4,000 things that you do.
Oh, well, it's that kind of craziness is I guess my bumper sticker, if I have one, is I just need to learn how to say no. But no, I am a retired aerospace engineer who now gets to do what they want with their life instead of what you have to do, which is go to work every day. And so I am a nationally syndicated radio host, a Second Amendment advocate. And then I kind of got involved in politics a little bit, and I rehab houses. So just a little bit of a wide variety of fun and educational things. You know, save the country and save your community. I guess that would be kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, that's fantastic. You're one of my favorite people to follow on social media because I don't know if it's going to be, hey, I'm heading into a board meeting or I'm rehabbing and doing flooring right now. So it's a great variety of that you show. And I love that you even touched about your engineering background. Can you walk us through, because clearly you've done some amazing things in the later years, right? Of the time that I've met you, but you and I haven't spent much time on the engineering side. How did your earlier career really set you up for success now?
Well, I started as a machinist. My father was a tool and die maker. My brother was an apprentice in the machine shop area, and they kept talking about things that I didn't understand. So I left the college prep line of school and went to a vocational school and took metal machining. And then I parlayed that into an engineering degree. And I've been really blessed to be able to work in some really, really different, diverse industries. Anything from glass, and we built patio enclosures and solariums and sunrooms. I did radiation detectors, catalytic converters, clothing and gear and safety gear, aerospace parts, and keeping airplanes in the sky. I was operations manager, manufacturing manager, project designer. So just a little bit of engineering sets you up to be able to, with a sense of curiosity, do all kinds of things. And I was very blessed to be able to work in a variety of industries.
Yeah, so one of the things that stands out is, but just to tell the viewers, I've worked in the nuke industry for 15 years, so absolutely fell in love with it. Got my nuke engineering degree. One of the things that stands out to me, I tease my previous coworkers all the time, saying, "I learned what you knew, but you can't learn what I do," and that's regards to look people in the eyes when we talk. They like to look at the floor more often than than run meetings and talk to a lot of people. And I say that in jest, obviously, but clearly the interpersonal skills is important in the engineering world. And I do think that it's traveling that way or going that way. What did you already know how to be personable and your interpersonal skills were 4.0, or is that something that you had to learn through the years in your role?
Well, if I had an option, it would be to stay home and with a book, and it's way too peoply outside for me. But no, I kind of had to learn, and I learned pretty early that being able to take engineering speak and turn it into accounting speak, to go to the guys who have money, coming from the guys with ideas, was kind of my probably, if you'd say it, my engineering superpower was that I could talk to both groups. And so I had to learn how to kind of put myself out there a little bit. And one of the advices that I give to any young engineer is to take marketing and advertising classes. As much as that's not in their wheelhouse, they are going to market themselves. They're going to figure out how to get people persuaded. And that's who the marketing and advertising people, that's what they do. And so that's kind of how I headed down that path.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I completely agree with that one where it was interesting. I thought myself as a marketing person, but I really found out that I'm more of an engineering person. I just started in the wrong field, but I'm glad that I had that mixture, right, going into the engineering world. So what would you say that even now in regards to where the generation is? It's easy to look at you, very successful, involved in a lot of things. Clearly didn't happen by chance, right? So unfortunately, even in my generation and a little bit younger, I want to be the CEO. I want to be the, the chief marketing officer. It just doesn't happen that way, right? You've got to really work hard. How do you stay focused? How do you stay determined to get to where you want, especially in today's world?
Oh, I think there's two things. One is you have to decide where you want to be and not let it be by happenstance. And then you have to take a couple trusted individuals and say, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be. What am I missing? What do I need? What am I missing? What skills should I have? What classes should I take? What things should I attend? So I joined Toastmasters and I did a while on that because public speaking, radio speaking is completely different than public speaking and persuasive speaking. When you're on a radio show or you're talking to somebody that way, you need to stay completely still. And every bit of animation has to come from your voice and nothing from body language. Yet if you're public speaking and that is how you are, you look like a robot. So you have to learn how to connect with the audience that you have. And so there's different pieces that way, but that was a big learn that I had to do.
Yeah, so I've always been comfortable with public speaking. And then I tried to dive into the social media world, right? Getting behind the camera, talking to social media. I do think that I have a lot to be able to share, but I struggled with it. Putting the camera up for me and talking back and forth. And I can't remember who it was that I was sharing with that, saying, why do I struggle so much with authenticity, and the delivery on social media, standing at a camera when I'm okay public speaking in front of thousands of people?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting. You hit the right point where when I'm publicly speaking, I'm used to seeing the reaction from the audience. I can quickly change my tone, the delivery, et cetera, when I'm doing that versus social media. You're talking to a camera and you have to remember what your audience is looking for and so forth. So with you being on social media, have you really found an easy transition from the broadcasting world to like how you present yourself on social media? Am I right in my thought process that there is a difference between the deliveries?
There really is a big difference. And as you start to work at it, if you're really struggling with it, get somebody to stand behind the camera. There is always an advantage of making eye contact with somebody that they're giving you social cues as you speak. So they are nodding, they're making eye contact, they're looking away, they're wincing, they're whatever. And so you get some feedback, and we're all wired for feedback. Otherwise, what happens is you'll start going and then you're like, oops, now you've talked so fast that your brain hasn't kept up. And so then you have to kind of stop and do this, like, I mean, if you really were a computer, you'd have the little swirl of death and recalculating going on. So having somebody there kind of really helps with that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. Before I transition to what's going on now in your life, you hinted a little bit about having someone, especially the younger generation, to be able to be there and provide, advice, direction. Mentorship is a huge thing, right? And I think that it's not as we don't appreciate as much as we should. Is mentorship something that you're actively involved with? Do you still have a mentor in your ears right now? Or are you mentoring others? How is that playing out?
Well, from the time that I kind of got started, I had this, and when I first started, people didn't have like a mentor or mentorship program. They really didn't. So I had this list that I called the 10 smartest people I know. And I'd tell them, you're on my list of the 10 smartest people I know, and I'd like to reserve the right to call you when I have questions. May I? And they were all very complimented by that.
Right.
And it has held me in pretty good stead. But I have to say that I've now reached an age where many of them have retired and several of them have died. And so my list has gotten shorter. And now I've switched industries. And so I'm looking for people in different industries and different things to round out the person that I know that I want to be, that I don't, with skills that I don't currently have.
Yeah, no, that's great. And going into just what you're focused on now, what do you think the biggest time, what do you spend your time in today?
Ooh, it's really a mix between the Second Amendment, causing people to understand where we are with the Second Amendment, the Constitution, and then the politics associated with that. Because I got involved in politics, not to be involved in politics, but to find out that so many people don't respect the Constitution, yet they want to be involved in politics. And I'm like, oh, no. So it probably is, if you had to winnow it down to one thing, it is educating people on a variety of levels about the importance of the Constitution and America.
Do you think it's possible to be a constitutionalist and be in either main party, the Democrats or the Republicans?
Well, I don't think it's possible to be a human and be in either party without disagreeing, at least in some aspects of it. So, yeah, I believe you can, but you have to figure out which hills are the hills you want to die on, and which things that you can be like, okay, I disagree, but I'm fighting a different fight, or I'm fighting a bigger fight, or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in regards to, I was raised a specific way, and we've talked about this off this podcast. And really, I just want everyone to live well and go by the Constitution, etc. How would you encourage the younger generation, where they say, I didn't know much about politics, and I hear a lot on this side and I hear a lot on this side. Where can they really go to find out what's really, what's the truth?
If they don't do their own investigations, they're never going to get to the truth, because each side has their own slant. And then recently there was a legislative decision, or maybe it was a judicial decision, that said that that it is perfectly acceptable to lie in commercials and ads and marketing on politics. And I find that so reprehensible. Mm-hmm. But it then puts people to the spot where they don't know what the truth is. Because if I can say that you're wearing purple pants when you're not wearing purple pants, and you've never had a pair of purple pants, but if I'm allowed to say it all I want, how do they know that you do or you don't?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it makes it even more important. Do you believe in the, small local government to be able to, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right or not, but what are your thoughts on being involved on the local level, where it's easy to focus on Biden and Trump, right? The top, two people that are running the top parties. How much more important is it for people to get involved on the local level of government and go from bottom top, where usually everyone just starts right at the top?
Yeah, they have to start at the bottom. They really do, because the people who make the decisions in your community, the people who have decided that you're going to be a safe harbor for illegal aliens, or you're going to be taxed to put in more parks, or you're going to, there's all of these different things. And it doesn't matter whether it's on the conservative side or on the liberal side. There are people that are in your community that decide these things for you. And do you get any say? Our local zoning was actually involved in trying to make it to where you could have a wood stove, as long as that wood stove was outside and connected by piping, but you couldn't have a wood stove in your house or in your garage.
Ooh.
Okay, why do they care? And they were like, it's the environment. It's the same fire.
Right.
So if those are the people who are guiding you or leading your community, you should probably have some say in that. And then I found out that in a lot of cases, the politicians were also the kids in high school that you grew up with, that you were like, this guy's a nerd or a jerk or a whatever. He's pompous or full of himself. And then you find out, oh, guess what? He's running for office. Maybe you ought to be involved to stop him. Right? We're living in a time right now where we have activist judges that are making determinations and decisions. And who knows who a good judge is and who knows who a bad judge is. pretty much only the criminals know who the judges are, right? Because they stand in front of them. The rest of us are like, yeah, okay, you got to judge by your name. So if you don't get involved locally, then what happens nationally doesn't matter.
Wow. Well said. No, absolutely well said. So in regards to we'll focus on the firearms and the Second Amendment. Is that a political focus? Should it be a political focus? Is it the true firearms are only on the conservative side? Should firearms be welcomed by both sides? Like, it seems like it's such a divisive topic. Should it be?
It really shouldn't be, because what's really interesting is the people will say, I'm a Democrat and I own guns. And I'm like, good. Then go tell your party that you do not want, as part of the platform, no firearms allowed, right? So the only people who can take that and make it a non-platform issue are the people who are part of that party. And so Second Amendment should be for everyone. And it should apply whether you're a man, whether you're a woman, whether you're black or white or green, it doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter. And so the really cool thing that's happening lately is that the Supreme Court has gotten a lot more involved in Second Amendment issues. And so they're really pulling that back, and they're pushing a lot of stuff back to the states. So the Second Amendment is helping clarify states' rights and what is constitutional rights versus what states' rights. And so there's a lot of it, and it touches other issues, and then it comes right back to the Second Amendment issue.
Right. Why is it so important to you, Amanda, in regards to the Second Amendment?
I don't really know what was the button that hit it to begin with. I don't know what started me kind of down this path. And I was probably in my mid 40s before I really got involved hard. I mean, both of my parents were pro-gun and involved in the gun industry, if you will. My mother taught hunter safety. My father was a collector. But it turns into your personal worth, because it really, to me, the Second Amendment is really around whose job is it to protect you, and what tools can you use. And so if you really go into where we are right now with crime and criminal reform, or where we're just letting people the recidivism rate of things, so I met and I've interacted with some gals who have had some pretty horrific things happen to them. And when you do, some of them turn completely away from the tool that was used to victimize them. And others are like, well, that levels the playing field.
Right.
And so when you think about the fact that the bad guy is bigger and stronger and faster than I am, and he gets to pick the time and the place and the method, and all I get to pick is the tool of self-defense and whatever training I may or may not have with it.
Right.
And that all is very dependent on whether the government allows me. So it really turned into, does the government allow me to live and to just, live fat, dumb, and happy? Right. And that was kind of the driving force that started it. And then it really, as you started to dig, it was like, it isn't about self-defense. It isn't about hunting. It isn't. Then it really is about someone else lording something over you, whether it is politically, whether it is personally, and the gun is just one of the tools. And I'd hate to see a tool being taken away, and then where are you?
Right. Yeah. It personally hits home, Amanda, where I'm blessed with an amazing wife who is very small, right? 5'3". I was away. This is a couple of years ago. I was away on business. She calls me at 10 o'clock at night and says, someone's breaking into the home. Let me tell you what, when you're a state away, that is a horrible thing to hear your wife say that, right? Well, lo and behold, she heard a noise. Thank the Lord it wouldn't end up being anything. But of course, I say, stay on the phone. I'll call the police for you. It probably should have been the first call, right? And the police, it was amazing response to see truly, within 7 minutes, 2 police officers came. One circled the house immediately. The other one went running up to the door. Phenomenal response. But my challenge to that is, so I'm so thankful for them, and they got cookies out of that, is 7 minutes though, right? 7 minutes it still took for them to get there. if it had been someone breaking into the house, right? And that's where I encouraged my wife. I said, great response. Call the police first next time. But again, what you said is the right to live, really, where it's like, hey, if I want to go hunting or self-defense. No, it's overall, you encapsulated that correctly. Is that the right way to say it? Perfectly, right? It's the ability to live the way that you should be able to live, right? So last one, because I know I'm being yelled at for time. When you just brought up women, the funny story to that part is we do have a shotgun, and my wife was able to load it and have it. She had it. However, she was scared to unload it. The police officer helped her unload it. The importance of training, right? We see movies, bam, 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 7 headshots, jumping over the escalator, between the legs, tossing the gun up and putting a magazine in, commonly called a clip. How important is training? Can someone just pick up that gun and be, John Wayne or John Wick?
Equate it to driving a car. If you only took driver's ed and then you never got in your car to drive it for the next 10 years, and then you had to take someone you love to the hospital, could you do it?
Wow.
Driving every day is training. Handling your gun is the same thing.
That's fantastic, right? And so a society that's saying, our gun's bad or gun's not bad, right? It really should be, let's train to be able to use them well, to keep the people that we love safe, both from having to use it and then also storing it properly. There's just so much to there. So awesome. Yeah. Amanda, I know that we're out of time. Thank you. You are a star. I appreciate you so much with everything. Thank you for being part of the Smeeple platform and then joining our podcast. So thank you so much.
No problem at all. And when you get a chance, tune in to Eye on the Target Radio with Rob and Amanda. We're on live Sunday nights from 5 to 7 p.m.
Absolutely. Thanks, Amanda.
Thanks for listening in to this episode of the Smeeple Podcast. You too can talk to Amanda one-on-one via the Smeeple app. Book her today, and we'll see you next time on the Smeeple Podcast.